Hey you, yeah, the one pretending to work while watching YouTube. You're about to hear how a surf rat with a Sharpie accidentally created the streetwear blueprint, and didn't even mean to. This isn't just a fashion story. It's a legend, a glitch in the system. It's about how a few t-shirts in a car trunk turned into a cultural passport, and how a brand that never tried too hard somehow became timeless. This is the story of Stüssy, the godfather of streetwear. So sit back, toss on a hoodie, and let's rewind the tape. The year is 1980. The place? Laguna Beach, California. Sean Stüssy isn't a designer. He's a surfboard shaper, and a pretty good one. He's got sun-bleached hair, punk cassettes in the deck, and a garage full of fiberglass dust. Each board he makes, he signs it with a weird scrawly Stüssy, inspired by graffiti, calligraphy, and rock band logos. The signature looks cool. Not polished, not corporate, just authentic. People start asking him if they can get it on a tee. So he prints 24 t-shirts, black ink, white tees, sells them out of his trunk for $10 each. They vanish, faster than the boards. Something clicks, and before Sean even knows it, Stüssy is no longer just a guy. It's becoming a brand. Enter Frank Sinatra Jr. No, not that Frank Sinatra, though that would have been wild. This Sinatra is a businessman, not a crooner. He partners with Sean, and together they officially launch Stüssy as a label. But it's not a typical label. They're not selling fashion, they're selling belonging. They create the international Stüssy tribe, not a marketing gimmick, but a real community. Each major city, Tokyo, London, NYC, LA, gets its own crew. Designers, DJs, skaters, graffiti artists, all under one squiggly S. It's like a secret society with no passwords, just vibes. If you knew, you knew. No ads, no influencers, just word-of-mouth heat. And that's why it worked. The tribe spreads like wildfire. In Japan, Nigo, the future founder of a bathing ape, reps Stüssy. In London, it's Goldie, still years from becoming a drum and bass pioneer. In New York, Hiroshi Fujiwara, the godfather of streetwear, carries the flag. Stüssy becomes this magical bridge, connecting scenes that had never been connected. Surf culture, hip-hop, punk, graffiti, skateboarding, all tied together by one signature. You didn't need to fit in, you needed to stand out. Wearing Stüssy didn't make you cool. Being cool made you eligible to wear Stüssy. By the early 90s, Stüssy was everywhere. Fashion editors started noticing. Magazines were confused. Was it surfwear? Streetwear? Skater gear? Answer, yes. Then came the imitators. Soon, every brand had a squiggly logo. Mall chains were pumping out knockoff tribal t-shirts. Suddenly, Stüssy was being worn by suburban kids who didn't know Tribe from Tribe Called Quest. That's when Sean made a decision. He walked away. In 1996, at the height of Stüssy's influence, Sean Stüssy resigned from the company. Not in protest, not with drama, just peace. He left the legacy to the culture and went back to shaping surfboards. The late 90s and early 2000s were the wild west of streetwear. Supreme rose. Bape blew up. Billionaire Boys Club brought Pharrell's glow. Stüssy? Stayed low-key. Didn't chase trends. Didn't drop capsules. Didn't post skate edits every week. But behind the scenes, collectors were hunting for OG Stüssy. Vintage resellers treated 90s tees like holy relics. And underground artists still rocked the gear, not for hype, but for heritage. Because deep down, real ones knew. Stüssy started it all. How Stüssy quietly changed the world. While other brands chase the spotlight, Stüssy plays a different game. They don't scream. They don't beg for clicks. But quietly, almost invisibly, they've reshaped modern fashion, art, and even business itself. Let's break it down. In 2015, when every brand was trying to copy Supreme's drop strategy, Stüssy went inward. No neon billboards. No countdowns. Just limited run collabs, done on their terms. They worked with Nike, sure, but never flooded the market. They partnered with Comme des Garçons, but didn't over-explain it. Even their 40th anniversary capsule? No hype train, just excellence. Instead of being loud, they became essential. Young designers today, from London to Seoul, cite Stüssy not for a single product, but for an attitude. Do what feels right. Don't chase virality. Let the real ones find you. You can see that DNA in brands like M. Leon Dore, in the quiet perfection of Jound, in the low-key aura of our legacy and Noah. Stüssy planted the seed, others grew the tree. In art schools across Europe, Stüssy is taught in branding classes not as streetwear, but as cultural strategy. Why? Because they built a global identity without ever defining it. Is it skate? Surf? Punk? Jazz? Techwear? Answer, all of it. None of it. Just Stüssy. That's a masterclass in branding. Stüssy also cracked the secret code of loyalty. Instead of treating customers like consumers, they treated them like co-conspirators. From the international tribe idea in the ADS, to the regional crews in Tokyo, London, and NYC, to their refusal to oversaturate or overproduce, they made every purchase feel personal. Not just because it was rare, but because it was earned. And now, in the 2020s, as streetwear enters corporate cycles and IPO filings, Stüssy stays grounded. They still run seasonal lookbooks like zines. They still work with photographers, not influencers. They still reference subcultures instead of trends. The quiet comeback. Around 2015, something shifted again. The fashion world got bored of the hype machine. People craved authenticity, roots, history. And Stüssy? Stüssy never left. Celebs started wearing it again. But they weren't paid. They wore it because it was cool. A$AP Rocky, Drake, Rihanna, all seen in vintage Stüssy. Then came the collabs. But not with just anyone. They linked with Dior, with Comme des Garçons, with Nike again and again. Each drop, controlled, tight, respectful to the past. It wasn't a rebrand. It was a resurrection. What Stüssy really means. Let's get real for a second. Stüssy isn't just clothes. It's a signal, a secret handshake for people who get it. It means you're not a poser. You know your history. You ride your own wave. Wearing Stüssy isn't about trend. It's about tribe. In 2023, Sean Stüssy did a rare interview. When asked how he felt seeing people still wearing his name, decades later, he just smiled and said, "It's theirs now. I just started it." That's humility. That's trust. And that's the true measure of greatness. Building something real, then letting go. So next time you see that squiggly S on a shirt, remember, it's not just a logo. It's a philosophy. The collab that never dropped. In 2011, a rumor started floating around the New York design scene. It wasn't on blogs. It wasn't in press releases. Just whispered at gallery openings and downtown bars. Stüssy and Basquiat. The capsule is done. They're just sitting on it. Most people dismissed it. Jean-Michel Basquiat had been gone for decades. His estate was notoriously protective. And Stüssy wasn't the type of brand to force something posthumous. But then things started to appear. First, a grainy Instagram photo of a Stüssy tee with a crown motif on the back. Not the usual three-prong crown. This one had Basquiat's brush style. Rough, unfiltered. Then a reseller in Tokyo posted a black tote bag with an embroidered Samo logo. Basquiat's original graffiti alias. No one could trace the origin. No one had proof it was legit. But the aesthetics? Perfectly aligned. Basquiat's raw energy. Stüssy's rebel edge. Two worlds that shaped modern street art and streetwear, finally meeting. Some insiders claimed the capsule was real: hoodies, shirts, patches, zines. All produced. Never released. Why? No one knows for sure. Some say the estate pulled the plug at the last minute. Others say Stüssy themselves shelved it, too sacred to sell. One version of the story says that just 50 sets were made, given to close friends of the brand. No public drop, no restocks, just whispers. Today, those pieces, if they exist, are considered the holy grail of unseen collabs. Collectors scour Japanese vintage stores and underground auctions, hoping to spot even a tag or a scrap. But nothing. Maybe it was fake. Maybe it was real. Maybe it was just a dream cooked up by downtown romanticism. But even in myth, it adds to the legacy. Because if there's one brand that would walk away from $1 million collab just to protect the vibe, it's Stüssy. Some things aren't for the algorithm. Some stories aren't meant to be sold. They're meant to be felt. The $500 thrift tee. In 2018, a college student in Portland walks into a thrift store. He's digging through racks of basic tees, fruit of the loom, old band shirts, tourist merch. And then he sees it. Faded white shirt, thin cotton, a tiny hole near the collar. But on the front, that unmistakable hand style, Stüssy, circa 1986. He pays $3. Posts it on Reddit later that day with the caption, "Is this real?" The comments go wild. Turns out it's a first-generation international Stüssy tribe tee, possibly made by Sean himself. By the end of the week, he has 3 DMs offering $500 plus. He keeps it, not for resale, but because, as he puts it, "I'm wearing a piece of history. Why would I sell that?" That's the thing with Stüssy. It's not just vintage. It's venerated. The fake Stüssy scandal. Let's rewind to the early 2000s peak mall era. Everyone's selling Stüssy. Except, they're not. Cheap knockoffs flood the market. Stores you've never heard of are selling $15 tees with suspiciously clean logos. The S looks off. The tag says 100% cotton. Made in nowhere. Real fans start fighting back. Forums light up with guides. How to spot fake Stüssy. Check the stitching. The curve of the S. The tag font. One underground website even launches a Stüssy blacklist, tracking stores that sold bootlegs. Eventually, someone from actual Stüssy HQ posts a message. "We don't care who fakes us. We care who finds the real." Mic drop. Instead of lawsuits, Stüssy lets the culture handle it. Because they know, legends don't chase fakes. They outlive them. When Stüssy crashed Paris. True story. In 2020, Dior dropped a surprise collaboration with Stüssy. It was wild. Kim Jones, creative director at Dior, said he used to collect Stüssy gear as a teen. This wasn't hype. It was homage. Runway models in tailored coats, luxe knitwear, and that same squiggly logo from California. Fashion Week had never seen anything like it. Critics were stunned. Streetwear's first brand just went couture. It wasn't Sean trying to prove himself. It was the world finally catching up to what he started. The first hoodie that mattered. Ask anyone who grew up around streetwear, and they'll tell you, there's always one piece that started it all. One item that made you feel like more than just a kid in clothes. That turned sidewalks into runways and lockers into launch pads. For Malik, it was a Stüssy hoodie. He was 16. Broke. Smart. Quiet. The kind of kid who kept his sketchbook in his backpack and his dreams in his headphones. His school was full of hype kids. Yeezys on feet. Supreme box logos every Monday. But Malik, he just watched. He didn't chase. Didn't flex. Didn't fake it. But he knew what was real. He saw it in the cuts, the prints, the way someone walked in vintage Bape. He was a student of style long before he could afford it. Then came the hoodie. Thrift store. $12. Black. Slightly faded. The old World Tour logo on the back, cities in scrawled, urgent letters. London. Paris. Tokyo. New York. Los Angeles. And that S. That weird, perfect, punk-ass signature. He bought it. Didn't even try it on. Just knew. Monday came. He wore it like armor. No chains. No flashy kicks. Just the hoodie. He walked into school and for once, people looked. Not in a nice fit way. In a "where'd you get that?" kind of way. One kid even asked, "Yo, is that real?" Malik just smiled. He knew the answer. And more importantly, he knew why it mattered. Because that hoodie didn't just say fashion. It said, "I know my history. I respect the game. I move different." From that day on, Malik wasn't just that quiet kid. He was the kid who knew. Teachers noticed. Girls noticed. Even the janitor nodded like, "That's a clean logo, young blood." That one hoodie gave him confidence. A way to stand tall without shouting. To belong without blending in. Years later, Malik would go on to design his own label. Nothing crazy. Just tees and hoodies and a few jackets made with care. But on the neck tag of every piece, he handwrote one word. Stüssy. Not to sell it. Not to rip it. Just to remind himself where it started. Because sometimes, it's not the new drop that changes your life. It's the forgotten hoodie on a rack in a dusty corner. And that's what made Stüssy great. Not the hype. Not the headlines. But the moment it made you feel seen. Even if no one else noticed. Especially when no one else noticed. The Lost Warehouse drop. In the summer of 2007, something strange happened in downtown Los Angeles. A low-res image started circulating on obscure fashion forums. A blurry photo of a dusty sign that read, "Stüssy Warehouse Sale. One day only." No date. No address. No explanation. Some said it was fake. Others swore they'd heard whispers about it from older skaters and graffiti kids. Still, no confirmation. No official post. No flyer. Until one Friday night, someone anonymously uploaded GPS coordinates to the forum. "Show up if you're real," the message said. No username. No context. The next morning, around 40 people gathered outside an abandoned industrial lot just south of the Arts District. Rusty fence. Graffiti-tagged metal doors. No branding in sight. Some turned around. Some stayed. At 10:04 a.m., a man in a faded Stüssy work jacket opened the doors without a word. Inside, chaos. Rows of mismatched clothing racks. Crates of old-school Stüssy tees, hoodies, hats, even boards. All dating back to the 80s and 90s. Some of it still had tags. Some of it looked worn, like it had seen backyard barbecues and Venice Beach pavement. All of it, priceless. Prices were ridiculous. $5 for original Tribe hoodies. $10 for vintage caps with the World Tour script. A 1986 surfboard sold for $50, bought by a kid who didn't even surf. But no one was fighting. No elbows. No rush. Just quiet reverence. It was like a pop-up church for streetwear believers. And no one was filming. Phones were out, but not to record. Just to text friends. "You won't believe where I am." At 2 p.m. sharp, the man in the jacket rang a bell. Time's up. He locked the doors again. By Sunday morning, no trace of the sale remained. No confirmation from the official Stüssy page. No press. No reposts. No influencers. Some say it was all part of a lost marketing experiment. Others believe it was an inside move. Maybe even Sean himself pulling strings behind the scenes. But everyone who was there agreed. It was magic. You didn't just buy clothes that day. You touched history. Years later, a TikTok video would surface. A girl flipping through her dad's closet, pulling out a faded white crew neck. The comments exploded. "That's from the warehouse drop. No way. That's real. Don't ever sell it." And she didn't. She framed it. Because sometimes, the rarest piece of fashion isn't one you buy online. It's the one with a story no one else can verify, but you still know it happened. That's Stüssy. Not just a brand. A myth that walks like a hoodie. So what can we learn from all this? Easy. You don't need a marketing degree. You don't need TikTok followers. You don't even need a business plan. You just need a Sharpie. You need something real, something that makes people feel seen. That's what Sean Stüssy gave the world. Not clothing, connection. And even now, 40 plus years later, that message still hits. Still watching? Then you're the kind of person this video was made for. So be part of something. Not a follower. Not a viewer. A tribe member. Help us hit our first 1,000 subscribers, not for clout. For community. Drop a comment. Share this video. And never forget, cool doesn't shout. Cool signs its name and lets the world chase it. Stüssy forever.